We all like to think we're these super rational beings, right? That when we've got a big choice to make, we sit down, we weigh all the pros and cons, and we land on the perfect, logical answer. But what if I told you that our brains have a secret default mode and it's not rational at all? Seriously, just think about it for a second. That last big decision you made, was it really, truly 100% logical? Or was there something else kind of pushing you one way or the other? The truth is, our brains are wired with a default setting, and it's probably not what you think. So here's the deal. We're all basically working with two different operating systems in our heads. On one side, you've got that slow, deliberate, rational thought. It's incredibly powerful, but man, it burns a ton of mental fuel. And on the other side, you've got these cognitive shortcuts. They're fast, they're emotional, and they're super energy efficient. And since our brains are basically built to be lazy to conserve energy, guess which one they default to almost every single time? Yep, the shortcuts. And that's what leads us right into biases and some pretty questionable choices. So how in the world do we fight this? Well, the answer isn't about trying to get smarter or wishing you had a higher IQ. It's not about raw brain power. It's all about having the right frameworks, the right set of tools to help you override that lazy default mode. And that's exactly where mental models come in. I want you to think of them like blueprints for your brain. They're these proven ways of thinking that help you see the world with way more clarity, cut through all the noise and the complexity, and just make consistently better decisions. All right, our first tool is a heavy hitter. It's called inversion. And this isn't some new age productivity hack. Oh no. This is a timeless strategy used by everyone from the ancient Stoics all the way to modern billionaires. And the core idea, it's just brilliantly simple. This quote from the legendary investor Charlie Munger just nails it. Instead of spending all your energy focusing on how to succeed, you just flip the whole problem on its head. You ask yourself, what would absolutely 100% guarantee that I fail? So how do you actually use this thing? It's a super simple 3-step process. First, you define what success even looks like. Let's say I want to have a really productive day. Easy enough. Step 2, you list everything, and I mean everything that would guarantee failure. Hitting snooze 10 times, scrolling social media for an hour, eating junk food for lunch. You get the picture. And finally, step 3, your only job is to ruthlessly avoid everything on that failure list. And that is the real magic of this model. You don't have to search for some secret formula for brilliance or success. By just steering clear of the obvious stupid mistakes, you automatically point yourself in the right direction. Success just kind of becomes the default. Okay, let's jump to our second model, and you'll see how these start to build on each other. This is first principles thinking. Now, if you want to create something totally new or solve a problem that just seems impossible, this is the tool for you. It's famously used by people like Elon Musk to completely shatter old ways of doing things. I absolutely love this analogy because it just clicks. See, most of us reason by analogy. We're like a cook following a recipe. We do things a certain way because, well, that's just how it's always been done. But a first principles thinker, they're like a chef. A chef doesn't just blindly follow the recipe. They understand the fundamental ingredients, the science of salt, fat, acid, and heat. They can build something completely new from scratch because they're always asking, what is fundamentally true here? And here's the classic example, right? For years, everyone reasoned by analogy. They looked at the cost of a finished battery pack and said, well, batteries are just expensive. That's a fact. So electric cars will always be a niche, pricey thing. But Musk and his team, they reasoned from first principles. They asked, okay, what is a battery actually made of? You got some cobalt, some nickel, some carbon, and when they priced out those raw materials on the market, they realized, holy smokes, we can build these things for a tiny fraction of the current cost. The bottom line is, reasoning by analogy will only ever get you small, incremental improvements. If you want a real, game-changing breakthrough, you have to ignore what everyone else is doing, tear the problem down to its bare bones, and build your logic up from the fundamental truths. All right, tool number 3. This one is all about stretching out your timeline. It's called second-order thinking, and it's the simple but definitely not easy practice of asking one little question after every decision you make. And then what? Let's use a super simple example. Eating a donut. First-order thinking is easy. It's immediate gratification. This will be delicious. That's the first consequence. But second-order thinking forces you to ask, and then what? Well, an hour later, you get that nasty sugar crash. And then what? You do this every single day for a month, and your health really starts to take a hit. all of a sudden, that simple donut has all these hidden long-term costs. A really cool, practical way to apply this is the idea of Chesterton's fence. It basically says before you rush in to change a system or get rid of a rule you don't like, you have to first stop and figure out why it was put there to begin with. That fence might look totally useless to you, but it could be protecting you from some nasty second-order consequence you haven't even thought of yet. I think this is such a powerful way to reframe intelligence. Being smart isn't just about solving the immediate problem in front of you. True intelligence is about seeing the ripple effects, the whole chain reaction of consequences your decision is going to set off down the line. And that brings us to our final mental model, probabilistic thinking. This one goes right after our brain's deep-seated craving for certainty. We just want to know if a decision is right or wrong, but the real world, it's almost never that clean. It's messy. Think about it this way. A chess player has perfect information. Every piece is right there on the board. In theory, there's always a right move. But life isn't chess. Life is poker. There's hidden information, you don't know what cards the other players have, and there's a huge element of pure luck. A great poker player isn't looking for the single right move. They're looking for the good bet, the decision that gives them the best odds of winning over the long haul. And this leads to maybe the most important mindset shift of them all. You have to learn to fall in love with your decision-making process and not get so hung up on any single outcome. Because in a world that has luck baked into it, you can make a brilliant, perfect decision and still get a bad result. It happens. You can also make a terrible decision and just get lucky. The only thing you can actually control is the quality of your process. So focus on making good bets over and over and over time. The results will take care of themselves. So there you have it, your new mental toolkit. 4 powerful models, each with a simple question to get you started. With inversion, you ask, what would guarantee failure? With first principles, it's, what are the fundamental truths? For second-order thinking, you just keep asking, and then what? And for probabilistic thinking, you ask, what are the odds here? You know, the best way to think about these isn't it some abstract theories you have to memorize for a test. They're lenses. Each one lets you look at a problem from a totally different angle. And when you start putting them on, all the chaos and complexity of the world, it just starts to look a whole lot clearer and a heck of a lot more manageable. So, the only real question left is, which of these lenses are you going to try on first? What problem in your life right now could really use a fresh perspective? Just pick one, give it a shot, and see how it changes the way you see everything. Now go make some smarter decisions.